Hello and welcome to finally my second book tag. This time I'm going to be doing the romance readers book tag. And then I do plan on doing, just so you know, I do plan on doing the historical romance readers book tag, and then I saw that there's a contemporary romance readers book tag as well. So I plan on doing those. I have most of my little notepad here is full of book tags through here. So I do have several planned for the next few months. I was hoping to do them once a month, but I did not do one in February. So we're going to do 2 this month in March, and then I'll get back to doing 1 a month. And we'll see. If you have any other book tags that you want me to do, I mainly read romance, so hopefully romance-centric ones, or ones that are easily met by romance books, or even just normal tags, and then I can do whatever, but definitely looking for more ideas. But let's get to it. And this tag was started by the Bookish Knitter and the Romance Queen of BookTube, so I'll have them linked below with the original book tag videos. But let's get to it. So number 1, what age did you start to read romance novels? Well, I feel like I've always read books that had romance in them, and that's what I've been drawn to the most. I think I've mentioned in my previous book tag, but like the first full-length book that I read was in kindergarten, and we read 101 Dalmatians. And while that's not a romance, there is a romance in it. I feel like I went fully, mostly reading just romance was probably middle school, maybe early high school, around that range. But I've always preferred books that have romance in them. Even like when I was reading Babysitter's Club and things like that, I always liked the ones where, they were going out on a date for the first time and things like that. But, so yeah, I don't know exactly what age, but technically if we want to count 101 Dalmatians, 5. But if not, definitely middle school was when I was firmly I'm only gonna read romance. Okay, number 2, if you could pick one hero to meet from your favorite romance novels, who would it be and why? To meet. So not book boyfriend or anything like that. Although I don't really have book boyfriends. That's not something I've kept a list on, which is odd, I know. But if I could meet a hero, and this is why I chose to film this one standing, is so I can access books if I need to pull books. So, I'd like to meet. I know, this is a hard one. Okay, I'm going to choose Ian. And he is a character. He is a side character from, oh my gosh, Cat. She's walking through, playing underneath my tripod. I'm going to choose Ian because I love Bones. And Bones is from the Night Huntress series, Cat and Bones by Jeanine Frost. And when I read that, I had this just urge to learn more about Ian, his sire. And then when she did Ian's trilogy, I think it's a trilogy. But yeah, I would choose Ian from the Night Huntress universe because technically he's in most, he's at least mentioned or in a lot of the books. But this is specifically one of his books. I can't remember what his specific series is called. Let me see if it says. It doesn't say. It just lists all the books. But yeah, I would choose Ian because he's a vampire that's been around a very, very long time. And he would just have so much information. Plus, I love Ian. He just has that fun, easygoing, but not unless you start trying to mess with him. I don't know. I love Ian. So I would choose Ian. I was trying to think of a vampire or somebody long-lived that I would be able to talk about anything with. So I'm going to go with Ian. Okay, number 3. Who are your favorite romance authors and why? Well, I mean, let's look genres wise, because it's hard to just choose. I would say definitely, I'm just going to pull what's easy. So for historical, Lisa Kleypas is definitely a favorite. Lisa Kleypas is who I think, and I know a lot of other people refer to her as the queen of historical romance. She could do no wrong. This book was amazing. This book came out last year. So good. So Lisa Kleypas is definitely one of my tops. I also, if we're talking about historical and favorites, I gotta bring it up, and I'm gonna pull her newest book here. But Vivian Lorette, this is her most recent book. It came out last year. The next book in this series, this is The Mating Habits of Scoundrels. The next book comes out in the end of May. Vivian Lorette is one of my favorite modern historical romance authors. I have all of her collection. This whole stack right here is all of Vivian Lorette's paperback books. And isn't this cover gorgeous? But yeah, I love Vivian Lorette too. There's something just so cozy and endearing to me with her books, and I love them. And this is probably one of my favorites of hers too, and it's her most recent. I do have one of her trilogies left to... I need to finish one and I need to start the other. But I've read through most of her books. And then I gotta also throw out... I'm just gonna grab this one because it's on top. Donna Fletcher. She's another one of my favorite. Once again, she's just something... There's something so just cozy and relaxing about her books to me that I just... Her Highlander series are amazing. Her covers are absolutely amazing. I have almost all of her paperback books. There's a couple of her standalones I don't have yet, but Donna Fletcher is also another favorite of mine. And we'll stop there. We'll stop with 3. So, ooh. Okay, I'm going to kind of combine paranormal and sci-fi and fantasy here. And I'm going to limit myself to 3 because we have to do a limit here. So, I'm going to pull this one. I haven't read this series yet. This is the spinoff. This is the Scarder Saga. This is the spinoff or somehow related to G.A. Aiken's Dragonkin series, which is one of my favorite dragon series of all time. G.A. Aiken is also writing under Shelley Lawrenston, and I haven't read her new Honey Badger series yet, but I've read every other book that she's published. So I just have this, the Scarder Saga, and there's 2 books out for that, and then I haven't read her Honey Badger series, but otherwise her backlist is completely done for me. I love them. This I would technically call fantasy, but under Shelley Lawrenston, she typically writes more paranormally and shifters. Although my Dragonkin is dragon shifters, but I consider that fantasy. So definitely G.A. Aiken slash Shelley Lawrenston is a favorite. Now I'll pull this one because it's right on top. Grace Draven is probably one of my favorite fantasy authors. I don't know if she's top, but she's definitely one of my favorites. This series I haven't read yet, but I've read almost everything else except for a couple novellas, and I need to read Master of Crows. But otherwise, I'm mostly done with her backlist. I love them. I haven't given anything lower than 4 stars from her. Honestly, most of it is 4.5 or 5 stars. Even some of her novellas just blow me out of the water with how quickly she can get you in a world and not feel lost. And so good. I need to read this series. I saw that the next book of this one is coming out soon. I saw the artwork for it. Super pretty. But anyway, Grace Draven is a favorite. I can only choose one more. Guys, this is really hard if I limit myself to only one more. Because there's two that I'm trying to choose between. But I'm combining. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do two more. Because I'm combining fantasy and paranormal. So we're going to do two more authors. Oh, yeah. Carolyn Sparks. Carolyn Sparks. This is my favorite fantasy romance series. It's the Embraced and Embraced by Magic. The first three books were published by St. Martin's, and then after the first three, they switched publisher, so it went from Embraced by Magic to Embraced, or Embraced to Embraced by... I don't know. It, like, switched. And the new covers are a different style. This is my favorite fantasy romance series. I still have not read the fifth book in this series because I thought it was going to be the last book and I did not want it to end. But there is a sixth book coming out in May, so I need to read the most recent book. However, every time a new book comes out in the series, starting from the second book, I reread the entire series. So, book 2 came out, I reread the first book, and then read book 2. Book 3, I reread 1 and 2, and then I read the new one. And I've done that for every single book that's released in this series. She also writes vampire romance, which I really enjoy. It's not my favorite vampire romance series, but this is my favorite fantasy romance series, so I would be remiss if I don't mention Carolyn Sparks. And then I'm going to choose a newer author. And I'm going to choose this one because it's on top. And this is Juliet Cross. And she's not a new author. She's newer to me, at least compared to the other authors that I've chosen. She's probably the most recent one of the ones I've mentioned so far that I've picked up. But I absolutely, absolutely love her books. This is one of the new recovers of her Vampire Blood series. She writes fantasy. She writes paranormal. She's got the steam. I will read whatever Juliet Cross writes. Plus, she's such an amazing person. She's one half of the duo of Smart Women Read Romance. And I'm a part of their Patreon. And I'm a Patreon for Juliet Cross. And I love her books. I love her. And I love these new recovers. Ugh, gorgeous. Okay, so we'll do contemporary. And this one's a little bit easier for me because I haven't been the biggest contemporary reader. So a lot of these are going to be newer authors that I have recently found. So I'm going to pull this one. So Jill Shalvis, she is one of the first contemporary authors that got me sucked into contemporary romance. I have binged most of her books, including a lot of her like Harlequin and Silhouette books. I love Jill Shalvis. She makes me wish I could live in her world, in her Lucky Harbor series, in her Heartbreaker Bay series. This is her newest book, which I have not read yet, and this goes back to romance. She did have a series recently that was a little more women's fiction-y instead of romance, but this one is supposed to be getting back to romance, and I need to read it. And I love Jill Shalvis. I will always read whatever she writes. I haven't picked up her women's fiction books yet, but I definitely will because she's another author that I have been through like 99% of her backlist of. And so she's actually an older contemporary author of mine. Okay, I'll do two more. Alright. This one's on top. Elsie Silver. Elsie Silver. My new friggin' contemporary queen. If you have not read Elsie Silver, you need to read Elsie Silver. This Gold Rush Ranch books are... Every single one has made me cry. Every single one has made me laugh. Every single one has made me swoon. Everyone has gotten me hot and bothered. Elsie has it all. Elsie has it all. Plus we get horses. We get such good animals in here. This is the third book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. This, I just had to look at my calendar. So based on when I have this set to come out, the fourth book and final book in this series is going to be out March 18th. So next Friday. Seriously, read these books. If you like small town, if you like horses, if you like contemporary, if you like dirty talking heroes, if you like strong heroines, if you read Elsie Silver, please. Read Elsie Silver. She's a new author. This is her first series. I feel like she started publishing in 2020 was when the first book came out, which is Off to the Races. And I cannot wait for book 4. Guys, read Elsie Silver. Do it. Okay, this is a hard choice. I'm debating between two. But because we're doing contemporary, I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to choose. Okay, I'm going to go with Claire Kingsley. It was a hard choice, but I'm going to go with Claire Kingsley. I need to read her older books, but I love Claire Kingsley. So good. So great. When I'm recording this, the 6th and final book of the Bailey's Brothers series drops tomorrow, or I guess tonight at midnight, but I'm not staying up till midnight. When this goes up, it would come up on Thursday, so it comes out March 10th, so it's out now. I've already pre-ordered my paperback copy. I can't wait to get it. I can't wait to read it. I'm so excited that she's already announced she's doing a spinoff in the same city, which is funny because this is a spinoff of her Miles family. But then there's, in this series, it's set in Tillicum, and the Bailey's brothers are in like a huge feud with the Haven family. And so there's going to be a spinoff series about the Haven family. So I can't wait to read those. But I grabbed this one because it's one of my favorite covers from the series. And I love Gavin. But I'm going to go with Claire Kingsley. So yeah, there's some of my favorite authors. Obviously, I have a lot more. But I just tried to pick a couple from each genre, at least, that are favorites right now. Some of these are more newer favorites to me than others, and now I've got a stack of books there. But let's move on because that took a little bit of time. Okay, so number 4. What is the favorite romance novel to reread? I do reread. I don't always reread the same books, but there is one book I usually reread at least once a year. And that is Mr. Hockey by Leah Riley. This is book 1 in her Hellions Angels series. And I love this book. I love this book. I have read it at least 5 times. The first time I read it, I absolutely loved it. And every year I reread it, usually late summer, early fall, to get me back into that hockey spirit. But when the Avalanche start coming back and the NHL season starts to kind of ramp up, I usually read it around there. There has been a couple of times where I read it like in July or August just to kind of be like, I miss hockey. Because let me tell you, preseason hockey usually starts in October, mid to late October. And then depending on what happens, Stanley Cups are like early June. So there's only a few months in between, but then we've got camp and tryouts and all that stuff. So usually I start paying attention to hockey stuff in September. So I usually read this when I need that hockey boost or to get me excited for the upcoming season. So I read this at least once a year. Definitely. This is definitely my favorite hockey romance. Even though Jed, he's retiring, so we don't actually really see him play hockey. But his heroine is a huge hockey fan like myself, so I can relate to her so freaking much, so much, and I love it. And she's like nerdy, and she's a children's librarian. She loves books, and I know, it's perfect. So definitely this. Okay. What book would you recommend to a non-romance reader? That's hard. It would depend on what they enjoy. Normally, if they like fantasy, I would pick a fantasy book. If they like usually mysteries or like thrillers or something like that, I might do a romantic suspense or something like that. So it depends on what they do like to read, and then I would go off of that. So I don't really have a set like recommendation list. Outside of any of these authors that I have mentioned, read them. And this is the last question. Which is your favorite... which is your favorite subgenre? Contemporary, suspense, or historical, and why? Of those three, historical. When I really got into and started mainly reading romance, I mainly read contemporary and romantic suspense. And then I kind of got away from it and I stuck to fantasy and paranormal. And then once I started getting into historical and paranormal and fantasy is kind of just where I sit and read. Lately, the past about year and a half, I've been getting a lot better contemporary recommendations. So I've been picking up a lot more contemporary authors. And last year I went on quite a few contemporary binges, which is weird for me. But of those three, definitely historical. I read for an escape, and while a lot of contemporaries can be an escape, I feel like it's easier when you're going either changing time periods, like with historical, or you're literally changing worlds, like with sci-fi, fantasy, paranormal, and those kinds of things. But honestly, I've read in all subgenres. I enjoy all subgenres. I haven't read in romantic suspense in a while, but I used to really, really love them. I loved Tara Jansen. She's one of my favorites. And then I also read Elle Kennedy's romantic suspense series and really loved it. And that was before I ever knew that she wrote the off-campus series, which are new adult hockey romances. But I loved her, I think it's Midnight Instinct series. Really good. Really good if you like romantic suspense. But that's the last question. So I hope you learn more about my romance reading. I feel like if you've paid attention to my booktube or my blog, you probably know most of this information before, but I definitely do plan on doing, like I mentioned before, the historical romance reader tag and the contemporary romance reader tag, so then I can get a little bit more in depth on those genres. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching and learning more about what kind of romance I like, which is pretty much all of it. But yeah, if you haven't read any of these authors, definitely let me know and I can pick who you should start with, or definitely pick up any of them. Honestly, right now, I am on the fully hype Elsie Silver train because, let's be honest, these books, Off to the Races was my favorite contemporary last year. Then there's the novella, Out of the Gate. This is technically 1.5, but this is the grandfather who basically creates the ranch that our hero from book 1 and book 2 own, and everybody also works at. Book 3 is the local veterinarian who's also good friends with our heroines in books 1 and 2 and the like nearby ranch. And he's not like competing with them, but he kind of is when it comes to like the horse races. But this is book 3. Book 4 is his younger sister and his best friend. It's going to be age gap, and he is a grumpy griff recluse. So it's going to be like grumpy sunshine, age gap. I can't wait for book 4. So definitely, if you pick up any of these books, let me put them in order, of any of the authors that if you want to pick up something up right now, I am on full on hype train for Elsie Silver because book 4 is coming soon. And I cannot wait. And let me see what this says, copyright. Oh no, this says copyright 2021. So the first book came out last year. Holy crap. Holy crap. She released 3 books and a novella in 2021? Good job, Elsie. Holy crap. Holy crap. All right. I'm going to stop talking. Here's my Elsie Silver books. Yeah. Anyway, like, subscribe. I think I've probably said that before, but we'll do it again. Like, subscribe, leave me any comments if you have any questions about any of these people, or have any recommendations of people that you think I haven't picked up or I should, or if I need to check out, definitely will. I have a lot of people on my TBR, but so definitely. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and like I mentioned before, if you know of any other fun book tags that I can try, leave them down below and I will get them added to my schedule. But until then, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon.